welcome everybody. My name is Nathan Henne. I'm the city manager for Owosso, and today we bring you to the city's wastewater treatment plant. It was originally built in the 1930s as part of a WPA New Deal project, and today we're going to be taking through the process and some of the history of the facility. So come on in, follow me, and we'll get started. So a lot of this is part of the old system. These switches and indicator lights, some of them still work, but a lot of it is pretty obsolete. The one thing we do really monitor quite closely, especially during rain events, is this guy here. So this tells us how many gallons per minute is coming through from the city and how many gallons per minute is coming through from the townships. So right now we're running 2,300 gallons per minute. That is very, very low. I've seen that up to 15,000 gallons per minute. And that's about the limit of what this plant will handle. Through here is just our lab. We got to do a lot of testing, regular testing. So this is where that happens to send all of our results to the state. So we are in compliance with our discharge license. So this is the headworks of the plant. And this is what got a lot of restorative work very recently. You can see one of the screw pumps is running. There are two more under these covers here. And this is what lifts all of the wastewater up from this point. This is where everything comes in. So if you can imagine, at peak running time, 15,000 gallons a minute coming into this hole, being pumped up 30 feet into the plant. So what I'm standing over now, this is the main mechanism that gets rid of all the solids. It's called a vortex system. Relatively, it's not new technology, but it's what works. Before we had a bucket and chain system that was just deactivated. This is meant to catch all the grit and all the stuff that's not supposed to be in the sewers. I'm not talking wet wipes or diapers or anything like that. Sometimes we'll have 2x4s come through the system. They'll get chewed up by the screw pumps, and all of this is meant to take that away so it doesn't scour up the process in the plant itself. So from here, the wastewater splits off into two different directions. First comes to our primary clarifiers. There's two, the north and the south. Right now they're both working. In the winter, we deactivate one of them. But these are 500,000 gallons apiece. And this makes sure all of the crap and all of the wastewater, all the solids settles to the bottom. And what's left is a more clear wastewater that's going to go into the plant for further treatment. So this is our sludge thickener, and this just further prepares the heavier stuff from the clarifiers, and eventually this is going to be dewatered. This room was completely updated along with the headworks. Okay, so we came from the primary clarifiers, those big round things. Now we're going to go to the next part of the process, which is this tower right here. All these towers look the same. There's three of them. This is the main, and this is the only biological component in the entire plant. This is really what does all the hard work when you flush the toilet. Inside this is a labyrinth of plastic media. They look like little butterflies, and it's just packed full of that stuff on racks. And the water is pumped up to the top and it trickles down through the bottom, and you can hear it. And what that does is it gives bacteria time to not only establish itself on that plastic media, but in the process of the trickling, it eats away all of the nasty stuff we don't want to flush into the river. These are called sand filters. They're a little bit obsolete technology for filtering wastewater. We'd like to replace them with something a little more modern, and that is actually a project that's going to be happening very soon. From there, everything is pumped into these old fiberglass tanks. So this is something that's really unusual to any wastewater plant. This is the only one I've seen like this, because this is the most striking feature of the original chemical process that still exists. These used to be filled with like a chemical reagent that would react with the wastewater to be treated chemically. But that process simply didn't work, but it cost too much to get rid of all this, converting it to a biological plant. So what these tanks provide now is contact time for the wastewater for disinfection. So in all of these tanks is wastewater and chlorine, and it stays there for a period of time so it's disinfected, and then it moves on to the next part of the process. This is the main control panel for the backwash system and the filters and everything you see in this room. Don't ask me how to do any of it. It takes a year. It takes a year for these guys to even be able to sit for their wastewater license. So they have to put in 2,080 hours just to be able to sit for a license. So when I bring people here, they look at this as, oh, it's a lazy river. Well, you could probably float in it, but I wouldn't recommend it. But I can tell you that the water that comes out of here into the river is cleaner than what's coming in from upstream. And that's it. What you see in there is mostly what's landed on the top, but that's nice clear water, much different from when it came in. And to replace this plant, in terms of cost, it would probably be, well, nowadays, $60–70 million. Handling wastewater is nowhere near the cheapest part of what we do here, unfortunately, but it is necessary because right there is our prized national river trail in the Shiawassee River. And keeping that clear and stopping instances of sanitary sewer overflows, that's why this plant exists, and that's why we put so much money into it. We appreciate the opportunity to show you around today. If you have any questions or you want to schedule a personal tour, I'd be happy to do that for you. You can contact me in my office and we can set that up. One of the things I really enjoy about this job is explaining how the wastewater treatment process works for the city of Owosso. So reach out, and thank you for coming today.